Hey everyone, Yoyston here, and I hope you all are doing well wherever you are in Middle-earth. So today, Amazon dropped another teaser, or so they call it, for the Rings of Power. I say teaser, it's like 2.5 minutes, so it's really our first trailer. That's what Royan says. Royan was unable to join us again this morning as, he's got work, so... But I do have his thoughts here. I had him text them to me, so we'll go through those real fast before we go through the trailer at large. I've got it pulled up here. But Royan says, this trailer is so much better than the last ones with an actual point to it this time. I think the visuals look really good. Hopefully they hold up when I can see them for longer than 3 seconds, lol. Lots of characters. Curious to see which are main characters outside of Galadriel. Yeah, I agree, especially with some of the visuals. I think we get a couple hints of the musical score as well from Howard Shore, which I'm excited about. But I'm not sure if I would be that quite as positive with it, to be entirely honest, which we'll get into. So, yeah, let me know what you all think in the comments here. Sorry, pulling up a couple things. All right, I should be ready to go. So we'll just kind of take it, maybe not exactly frame by frame, but we'll just go through here like we did in the last teaser last week. Check that out if you haven't already. Shout out also to Fellowship of Fans. He's always on top of things. So I've actually got some notes from what he says from what rather the audio says in the trailer. But he wrote it in like a notes app. So we won't be able to hear the audio, but I'll just kind of say what Galadriel and the other characters are saying as we go through. And then I'll give more of my final thoughts towards the end. So, alrighty, here we go. So open with another shot of Numenor. This time it actually looks kind of a lot better, I would say. So Numenor, even in the first teaser, I thought looked cool, but there's something about modern CGI. I don't know, and maybe they were just still working on it because the first teaser was released back in February, already 5 months ago, if you can believe it. And it does look better. You can tell that there's still a lot of CGI here. We've got a close-up of Galadriel, and here's where we start. Here's where I'll start referencing Fellowship of Fans' note here. So Galadriel says, there has not yet been a sunrise, but even then there was light. So this looks amazing, referring right here to Laurelin and Telperion, the two trees. I believe this is the city of Tirion, but again, who knows if they actually have the rights to that exact name or anything like that. Looks incredible, right? Obviously, you can tell that there's a lot of CGI here, but this looks amazing. And I think it's because of the light contrast and everything. It must be, the middle of the day because Laurelin is blooming a lot more full bloom than Telperion is. All right. Amazon Prime Video. So we get more landscape shots. Again, I like that they're keeping the Jacksonian-esque CGI. It looks like, I don't know if that's a great eagle here. It very well could be, but some elves atop the mountains here. I want to say that this is going to be Linden. Again, the visuals are stunning, and I should even remark that when it showed Galadriel, I believe I could hear some of Howard Shore's new music in reference to his old Lothlorien soundtrack. Maybe is my ears playing tricks on me, I'm not quite sure, but I think we do get a little bit more Howard Shore music in this one than we have in the past, at least some of his themes. But anyway, this is Linden, then this is Khazad-dûm. It's kind of interesting. This looks a lot like Nargothrond, right? The waterfall and the leaves and the plants and vines and all that stuff. An unknown singer, according again to Fellowship of Fans, come to me, let's fly away. I think that was in one of these shots before, and that's part of the Treebeard song. Then we get into some Harfoot narration. Elves have forced to protect dwarves their mines, and then men their field of grain. But we Harfoots have each other, we are safe. Yeah, this is them in, their forest and just hanging out, I guess. And we got Meteor. We got the Meteor Man again. So we'll get into exactly what this means based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. It's something, I don't know. I've mentioned this to Royan in the past. And again, towards the end of the video, I'll get more into this. But is this an adaptation of Tolkien's works? or is this based on / inspired by Tolkien's works? I believe based on what it says here, it's based on / inspired by. It's not an adaptation. And so we should keep that in mind, right? Okay, let's move forth. So we've got, I'm not exactly sure, this could be Foradwaith in the north, some frozen wastes, the Misty Mountains, I have no idea. Galadriel talking to Elrond. Elrond says, you have fought long enough. Galadriel just says apparently nothing, I don't know. Elrond says, put up your sword. Galadriel says, the enemy is still out there. The question now is where? Elrond, it is over. Galadriel, you have not seen what I have seen. Elrond, I've seen my share. Galadriel, you have not seen what I have seen. And then it could be later here. Oh, yeah. Right, you have not seen what I have seen. And then we've got this crazy shot. I don't know what is happening here, but could be the Dagor Bragolok. Like, it could be Morgoth breaking the siege of Angband. I have no idea. All right. But it definitely is a cool visual, to say the least. So it seems like there's even a little bit of tension between Galadriel and Elrond here, which I don't know. I mean, obviously, Galadriel, being an older person, has seen more than Elrond, a younger person, has, for sure. That's kind of expected, but what has she seen? In the lore, in the books, she's not been anywhere close to the Dagor Bragolok, and if they're really going this warrior route with her, even in her past, then I guess that makes sense. But then you're also talking to Elrond, whose father, Eärendil, literally went to Valinor, literally fought a dragon, like a massive dragon that broke a volcano, or, the volcanoes of Thangorodrim. I think Elrond's seen some stuff too, so we'll get into that later. Anyway, some more Numenor shots. Looks pretty cool, to be entirely honest. Like, I love that they're playing into the sun imagery, the mist and stuff. But again, my eye can tell that there's a lot of CGI in this shot, if not the entire thing is CGI. Definitely a lot of it, which is a little worrying. I don't know about all of you, what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. But for me, just CGI in so many shows and movies have not been great recently. I'm not quite sure why, but it feels like it's gotten worse. Maybe my eyes have gotten better at detecting it. But anyway, Gil-galad here, and apparently Gil-galad's saying, darkness will march over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our peoples, but of all peoples. Gil-galad, I'm sorry, but their time has come. I'm not sure if he's talking about Numenor here, but anyway, and then we have some Numenorian dialogue here. Isildur, the past is with us. I'm not quite sure. Oh, there we go. Isildur, the past is with us. The past is dead, is what Elendil says. And then Elendil says, we either move forward or die by it. Looks like they're in the court here. Riding shots, Harfoots, ships of Numenor, Isildur, Elendil, I believe. And is this Ar-Pharazôn? Or is this Ar-Gimmelzor, Ar-Pharazôn's father? I think this is Ar-Pharazôn. Not quite sure. Okay, this looks cool. The shot of these elves and the stars. Also, all dark hair and long swords. And I wonder if this is supposed to be the Oath of Feanor. That'd be interesting. We've got that troll thing again. We've got fire. Durin the Fourth says this could be the beginning of a new era. Again, shout out to Fellowship of Fan for putting that together, especially with how I've been doing these trailer breakdowns. That's really helpful, so thank you. All right, and then we've got some Harfoots wandering. I'm not quite sure where, but maybe this is like them trying to go to the Shire. All right, so that is the teaser. Let me just check my notes here. So, all right, a couple months ago, I want to preface with this. So a couple months ago, or maybe like a month ago, there was an article that came out. It said, this is not your dad's Middle-earth, or this isn't your dad's Tolkien. Which, for them literally to say it like that, I haven't talked about this yet, but I've kept it in the back of my mind. For them to say it like that, this isn't your dad's Tolkien. Well, my dad literally introduced me to Tolkien. I wouldn't be in this doing this channel. I probably would hardly know about Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's works if it wasn't for my dad. So I bring that up as to say, be careful, Amazon, how much you are wanting to change. My dad introduced me to the Lord of the Rings, to the Hobbit, to the Silmarillion, and I'm sure that's how it is for a lot of us. And if you guys change too much, if you do this whole inspired by versus adaptation kind of deal, I just bring that up to say, when we look at this trailer, I landed here for kind of a reason. Elrond and Galadriel. Why is this like almost a conflict? Again, we have to remember Elrond is going to eventually marry Galadriel's daughter. And so, again, he is younger, obviously. He's younger than Galadriel, but why is there almost this conflict, this tension? You've been fighting long enough. And then Galadriel, you've not seen what I have seen. It's like, Elrond is a lore master. He should know exactly what you've seen. He should know exactly, and granted, character arcs, this is a younger version of both of these characters, but I don't know. Would you ever talk to your mother-in-law like this? Or your future mother-in-law? You have to stop fighting Galadriel. And then it's like, no, I don't know. That's kind of very bold of Elrond, if you ask me. It just doesn't, this relationship feels awkward to me a little bit. I'm not quite sure why, but I think it's because I know the characters in the lore. And it's just, this doesn't feel like how they would talk to each other almost at all. But again, so to start off with the positives, I guess we've already started off here with some couple negatives perhaps, but the music, except for the trailer, the typical trailer, teaser, Christopher Nolan-esque, like Inception, boom, all of that kind of stuff. It's not as bad, I think, in this trailer, if I recall, but it's other than that, and if we do get some Howard Shore music here, I swear I thought I heard a bit of it with this shot, a little bit of the Lothlorien theme. I could be wrong, but maybe that was my mind playing a trick on me. But, that's good. I'm excited for Howard Shore and Bear McCreary's soundtrack. The visuals here look great. And it looks like they are really trying with a lot of new characters, which could be cool. Again, like this visual right here. I mean, we've gotten pictures released we got a picture of this released last night. Since there's so much ash and fire, I have to assume that this is the Dagor Bragollach, the Battle of Sudden Flame, but I have no idea. And again, I have no idea what they have the rights to and don't have the rights to, so there's that. But, the ship again, the elves on the ship. I'm not sure where she was sailing in that. Some of these I talked a bit about last week. Tarmiriel here. I believe that's Tarmiriel. Elrond visiting Khazad-dûm. It's really cool, like the greenery and the visuals here. But I'm just wondering where this is. There are, in the Lord of the Rings Online, there are a couple places this could be. But like, in Moria, there are like some garden places and stuff. But I don't know. It definitely looks different. It looks a lot like Nargothrond. It looks almost like a lot closer to the surface because you see this natural sunlight. But I have no idea. It does look awesome, though. The dwarves here are done really well. Cavalry of Numenor. That's awesome. We've got this sailing thing that we're going to do. I think Galadriel's going to join this character on the boat. I can't remember his name, but he's an original character. I'm not sure. They're fighting a wolf there. Wolves. So, yeah. In terms of just my final thoughts, I don't know. It looks okay. It looks all right. At best, it looks all right. At worst, it looks mediocre, I guess. Because I feel like for me, from what these teasers and all this promotional material has kind of done for me, is it just shows me that it's going to be somewhere in the middle, most likely. Rings of Power will just... look, Linden, this is so cool. But then you have this conversation between Galadriel and Elrond, which is kind of not cool. It feels generic to me. You have to stop fighting. It's like, this isn't the conversation you all necessarily should be having. I think it would be more compelling and closer to the lore and interesting to have them talk about, are the legacies of Morgoth dead? Or are the legacies of Morgoth still like underground? Should we be preparing? Should we not be preparing? And then you could have Elrond maybe take a stance on that. And maybe that's what this is, of like, you don't have to keep fighting. But granted, I can't help but notice he also had a sword on his back when they're talking. You know, her sword is in the ground. I don't know if they're having this conversation at this exact point in the show, granted. These swords are so ridiculous. I love them. Just like massive hilts and then kind of tiny blades. It's hilarious. But, you know, you have to stop fighting. And then I don't know if that's a conversation they should have, because there's still some danger in Middle-earth, but there are some orcs and stuff, I'm sure. But is it more like we should be preparing? And I think that's what Gil-galad's probably going to be more getting into. Should we be preparing? What happened to the greatest servants of Morgoth? What happened to Sauron? What happened to his Balrogs? What happened to Morgoth's dragons, right? All of these things. What happened to his greatest servants? And then obviously we've got this shot of the orcs here, so it's clear that, you know, Sauron's not entirely gone, or, you know, the legacies of Morgoth, rather. So, yeah, I don't know. The writing feels a little inconsistent. They're going, as Matt from Nerd of the Rings, good friend of the channel, says, you know, he's a little worried about the Harfoots, and I totally get it. It seems like they're very much using the Hobbit archetype to frame this narrative, and I agree with him. I don't think you need that, but okay. Gil-galad here. Yeah, you know, I'm excited to see more dwarves for sure, and dwarves interact with elves, which is very cool. Where's Celeborn though? Where is Celeborn? It's like they're making a lot of changes, and this is where I go back to the whole based on / adaptation. It's very much based on, and I think it's more inspired by than it is anything close to an adaptation. Because you have what is this meteor? You know, what is that? And that's an original creation. Like this entire shot right here, not Second Age at all. And that's okay. Again, Rowan and I have talked about this multiple times of like, they have to create something new. These other themes are going to be at play. But as long as the general higher themes of Tolkien, the Tolkienian Second Age themes, are what's most at work here, then great. But what has me worried and what has me thinking that this will be okay or mediocre is that it feels like they might get some characters right, like Gil-galad, but then other characters like Galadriel and Elrond, I'm like, am I going to be annoyed because are these even the same characters? Again, they're not going to be the Third Age versions of themselves. This is, you know, that was almost post character arc. So we need them to be in their character arcs, absolutely, but that, I think that's always the infinite question with prequels, is like how naive, let's say, how naive do we want to make our characters originally versus what they become? You know, with the Star Wars prequels, it's like how childish or naive do we want Anakin Skywalker to be before he becomes Anakin and Darth Vader, like Commander Anakin and then Darth Vader? How childish and naive do we want these characters to be before it becomes Galadriel of the Third Age and I am the bearer of Nenya, and then Elrond, who's the bearer of Vilya and the master of Rivendell? It's just, I just don't feel like they quite get some of these characters and some of their motivations in the actual lore. Elrond, for instance. Elrond is a commander, he is a general of Gil-galad's armies during the War of the Elves and Sauron in the mid-Second Age. He does do that. He leads an army from Lindon to Eregion to try to help Celebrimbor, and then he meets up with Celeborn. But he's leading an army. The time for fighting is now, right? It is still current. I don't know, but it also, there's just so much about the series that I don't know. How big is the time compression? At what point in the Second Age are we when he says this? Because if he says the fighting is done and all of that post him being a commander in the War of the Elves and Sauron or something, like that's obviously bad writing. But if it's before the War of the Elves and Sauron, I guess more excusable, but it's still, I don't know if Elrond would be this ignorant, I guess, of the works of Morgoth and the works of Sauron, or even the works of other elves, which could cause tension between him and Celebrimbor. Obviously, the Feanorians slew the people at the Havens of the Falas, his people, when he was a kid with his brother Elros. But again, how much are they? Is Elros even canon in this world? Is Elros even a guy in this world? I have no idea. It just feels off to me, right? You always have setting, which actually feels pretty good. You have plot, which is okay. I'm not exactly sure where they're going to go. It feels very much more like adventure-y than I would have perhaps thought, but it's a Lord of the Rings show. You have to throw adventure in. We'll see, right? I'm not exactly sure what all of this refers to, what all of the plot is, but the characters aspect of storytelling, that is kind of what worries me the most in some ways. So we'll see. I don't mean to be, you all know me, Yoiston never wants to really be too negative about anything. And I do still have hope for the show in many aspects, but I can't help but say I am worried based on what we've been given. Some things look great. Is this a dwarf mask, right? Like those that they had in the first age? That would be awesome, right? To fight Dragonfire. That is amazing. But why is Galadriel leading an army of Númenórean riders? That's what worries me. So there's definitely some worry and some kind of excitement. So, well, we're at about 20 minutes here, so I'll start to wrap things up. But everyone, let me know what your thoughts are. Does this trailer have you more impressed, less impressed? Does this have... I don't know. Does this have any impact on you? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you're excited for, what you're kind of worried about. And if at the end of the day, you all think this series will be good or worth its while. So, anyway, I think that's all I've got. And I'm sure Amazon will be... We're less than 2 months away from the show actually premiering now, so I'm sure Amazon will be ramping up its teasers and trailers and all of that kind of stuff. Again, like Royan says, at a point this ceases to be a teaser. This is the first trailer. I don't know why it's called a teaser, but it is a trailer because it's 2.5 minutes. But I'm sure they'll be releasing more, and I will hopefully have more thoughts, hopefully more positive thoughts as well towards the show. But just so many things have me worried. So many things tell me that at best this will be okay, and at worst it'll be mediocre. I just don't know if it'll be as bad as some people think. I understand the worry, but again, there are some visuals, there are some music aspects that I'm very excited for. Some characters I do think that they'll get right, but then the things that I'm worried about are a lot of characters I feel like they'll get wrong. The framing of this, the themes of this, some of the plot lines might not go anywhere. Those things I'm worried about, So, I don't know. I think, again, at the very least, there'll be a couple things that I'll probably like from the show, but it could be that I don't like a lot of other aspects. We'll see. So, hopefully I'll have more to say as they release more trailers. But, my friends, let me know what you all think about this, and I'll see you on Sunday for my video on what made Arnor weaker than Gondor. Thanks to our Valar tier patrons, Kyle Wetzel, Peter Sheppard, Jonathan Putnam, Mark Kralick, Blair Scouten, Merten, John Hume, Sam mcbee, Matt Sibbach, Elizabeth Calvert, Maz Gibs, Rhys Jenkins, Adam Petrlik, Brandon Glidden, Molly Sullivan, Daniel Burns, Anthony Harmon, Dorwin Gray, Arthur Merlin, and DJ Vaught. Thank you all so much, and thanks to all of our patrons and YouTube members. So, my friends, thank you all so much for joining me on this adventure. Until the next one.